Alright, it's been a little while since I did an update, so figured here we go. So, you see this is new. I went ahead and got a Frostbite Intercooler. It's a brand that Holly sells. This is a, if I remember the dimensions, roughly 31 by 12 by 3 or something like that, and the 31 is like end to end. The actual core, I don't recall, so let's find out. Let's see if I can do this. All right, so core width is, well, 24 inches right at it, which works out because it's 24 inches across. So it works out perfect. Anyways, so it's 3 inches deep, 24-inch core, 12-inch, I think it's 12-inch tall. Double check that too, I guess. Yep, 12-inch tall. Anyways, so I made these brackets. They're not permanent, and then they're super easy. I actually salvaged these little tabs that were supposed to be used for the suspension. They were like sandwich plates that go on the inside of the car, and they have plates on the underside, and they pretty much pinch the floor pan. I couldn't use them, I don't think, or maybe I had extras because of the stuff they sent me. One way or another, I wasn't using them for anything else. So cut those in half. They have a slot, so the intercooler can, well, it's tightened down, but it can shimmy back in and out a little bit. It gives a little bit of playroom. I'm probably going to slot this as well. I just drilled it right now. I'm either going to slot it to give it some playroom, or I'll just drill another hole if I need to adjust it up or down any. I'm kind of curious to know how it's going to look. I set the hood on it, and it looks like it fits out right. I'll show you some pretties I ordered in a second, but it doesn't look like I'll be able to use the hood latch. So that's, right now, I'm assuming won't be used. If I do, I definitely can't use the lower support that goes all the way to the bottom down here to that screw, or that bolt. I would have to cut that bar that goes down and just leave the little L piece. And even then, I don't think the hook has enough clearance to latch without hitting the top of this. I could maybe drop it down some, but it doesn't have a whole lot of playroom underneath before it hits the core support down here. I've got maybe an inch to play with. So I could drop it a little bit, but not a whole lot. Along with that, I got this intercooler kit that finally showed up, which included, it's just an eBay special China kit. The couplers here are, I guess, 3-ply. I think you count the layers of thread. I'm not really sure. I'm guessing they're 3-ply, but they're cheapy. I think I guess it's 4-ply maybe is the good ones. Anyways, these are real flimsy. They're not that great. I'll probably end up having to change them later because I have a feeling they're gonna tear or not gonna be that great. But they come with 2 90s, 6 of these straight couplers. They come with 2 big 90s, 2 of these 180s, 2 straight pieces, and 2 45s, which are already chopped up and used. So far, I've just done the turbo side, or the hot side of the pipe, and it is just this 90 piece that I cut down. I have to take these pieces to my welder buddy to have him seal these up where I have them taped. I just have them marked and taped together so I could get a rough fit. This is one of the 45s right here. I tried to use a 45 down here, and I messed it up. It's this one. More or less, this angle wasn't cut right. I was trying to get it to where I could kick it and line it up with this piece here. It didn't work out, so I ended up cutting up one of the 180s, which that's the other piece of it left, and made it go up a little further so it could work that out. But it looks like it's gonna work out. And then there's just a straight piece up here, which there. And then it steps down because 3-inch down to 2-inch for the turbo outlet, which is quite small. But people I bought the turbo from assures me that it will work on this motor fine and it won't just overspool the shit out of it. We'll see, because I'll be raising hell if it ends up burning it up, because they recommended this thing. Worst case, my wastegate's gonna be getting overused a lot. But anyway, so I still have to do the cold side, which is gonna be even more fun because I have to not only do what I did there to get it down, but I also have to bring it up through this little bitty hole right here, keep it kind of away from this power steering pump and over here, and then 90 it over to the intake. So it's gonna be fun. Most people end up keeping it all behind the inner apron and then cutting a hole and sending it through the inner apron. I don't want to cut holes because if you keep up with my videos, you know that this is not the final build idea that I want to go with. This is an old school non-roller 302 that's bored 60 over. I'm hoping it lasts long enough for me to save up money. I want to get a 351, but not only that, I want to get a 4-bolt main aftermarket 351 block. I want to buy another one of these turbos and run twins. But I want to build that 351 up. I want to put a stroker kit on it and bring it to a 427 small block and pretty much make a 1,000 horsepower beast. That is the hopes. This block alone is, well, so the turbo one's capable of above, but the block probably can't handle over 500, if even 400, without splitting the block. It's just not that strong. But so I bolted my bumper brackets up since last. Just got the valance kind of fit in place, mainly so I could get my intercooler piping, because I had this all done originally, beautiful, but it hit down here. So I had to get the valance put, or the lower valance put on, and redo my intake piping. My bumper's under the car over there. I pulled it out of the attic just to fit it up to make sure it wouldn't interfere with anything. It stays way out here, so not a problem. I put this fender extension on to make sure it wouldn't interfere. I got the other one as well. I'll put on just to do that side. Hopefully I have enough intercooler piping to make that side work. I actually ordered some, I think they're Spectre. They're like pie cut 90s in case I need to make any tight turns. Surprisingly, their pie cut 90s are cheaper than their actual flanged or bent 90s. Don't really understand that, but whatever. So if I end up having to use 45s like I did on this side, I'll have to order another one because I don't have any left. I have a 90, I have the curve piece, I have that little 45 piece, but I don't have an actual 45, which the 45 I used right here. Let's see, what else have I done? My electrical's still chilling. Haven't done anything else with it. I wanted to get this intercooler stuff taken care of and get it all configured before I go wiring up my electrical. Obviously I got the fenders put on. My hood, I actually cut a hole out for the air cleaner to fit through, so it will fit. Obviously if that fits through, then that carb hat right there will fit through as well. I did screw up on it because I had it outside of the shop on a little painter stand thing. I used this little air nibbler. If you watch Joe Daddy, he's got one of these as well. These things are awesome. Awesome tool. What I forgot is they actually eject the metal out this front port. And while I'm cutting, my roommate noticed it before I did and started trying to deflect them. I was sending metal shavings like all up towards the car. So they were getting all in the cowl, all over the motor. Luckily everything was sealed up so I don't have little metal shavings in anything, but I blew them out of the cowl, picked them off out of everything I could see, and got any out of the cabin area that I could. But after I noticed, I started blocking them with my hand, just putting it in front. But anyways, in the middle of that, I was getting close to finishing the cut. Like I started at this corner and did the whole loop, and well, I was going around this way, and it was laid just this way too. So I cut this way, cut around, and I'm coming back this way, and it's sending the shavings that way, whatever, and the panel starts to flop down, and he couldn't hold it because he was blocking the shavings, and well, it kind of messed up the cutout a little bit, so I'm gonna have to go back and clean it up. But I was trying to decide, originally I wanted to get one of those Eleanor scoops that you can mold on and fit those on, until I looked at the measurements, and the damn scoop is almost as long as the hood. My hood, if you've seen previously, is one of the, 68 hoods. I don't know if it's a deluxe hood or what, but anyways, it's the ones with the blinker vents with the indicators on the hood. Well, anyways, the hood scoop ends up overlapping that, so I'm not gonna be able to use it because I don't think I'll be able to mold it out right, and it's $100 and something gamble to even see if it might work. So my options are get a different hood scoop, which I don't really like just the air scoop type. I prefer the Eleanor hump. I could try to fabricate my own out of steel, which would take a lot of time and effort and might end up looking like shit. I could clean up the hole and just leave it a hole, but down here it rains a lot, so if I'm out at cruising and I'm driving around, I don't have an air filter to get wet to worry about because of the hole cut. It'll be that carb hat, but all my wiring for the EFI is tucked down inside of this intake. It's an air gap intake, so all of this is hollow down here. It's like a big bowl. That could fill with water. Granted, the heat should evaporate it off as soon as it's landing, but it's still not the most ideal, especially if I'm parking it out somewhere. If it's not running and it's parked, obviously it's gonna fill up with water if there's a big hole in the roof, and yeah, I don't wanna deal with that. So I need to get some solution. I could always order a hood, but I don't wanna spend money on something that's temporary, because if you paid attention to my previous videos, the other thing I plan on doing in this car is a long nose conversion with the long nose Eleanor hood, and I want to eventually go to an Advan carbon fiber hood, which is long nose Eleanor. So if I could find a cheap hood that would work, I'd get it, but they make the short Eleanor hoods that would work, but the cheapest I found is around $500. Then I wouldn't have to change out, because not only is the long nose hood expensive as hell, it's like $1,200 for that carbon fiber hood. The extension pieces are minimum $500 is the cheapest I've found them for the upper and lower valence and nose headlight extension, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, if anybody's got some experience with making hood scoops that don't look all squared off and, in my opinion, shitty, send me a link or link a video or whatever, because I need something. I'm gonna probably end up just boxing it in and making it look kind of cheesy just so it's covered, but I don't know. I want to try to make it look presentable. The last of what I was doing, the last video you saw, I did this matte 66. I still haven't done the thermal stuff. I did get my dash done there. My gauges aren't in. My steering wheel's gonna end up coming back off soon. I did order this that I don't know if I can make work, but it's a horn button. So it's the Mustang logo instead of this Italian, which is the brand of the steering wheel, Auto Technica. It's like an Australian company. But I bought this. I don't know if I can make it work or not. I'll try. The other thing I need to do is, you can see I scuffed this side. I started working on the tail panel, because the tail panel had runs, and you can still see all this. I got to finish sanding this out. And runs down here. This is covered up still. But I need to finish scuffing all this, and I'll have to take this cap off and take this filler neck back off and close it off, tape it off, whatever. But I'm getting this ready to do what I'd say is the final epoxy coat, but it's not necessarily. It's the final to drive the car on, more or less, to make it look presentable to drive on. I'm hoping it makes everything come out looking like the fenders did, with this kind of gloss black instead of this matte. You can tell it's a big difference between the fenders and the cowl. And the doors are just E-coat, they're not even epoxy. The other thing that I'd mentioned in a previous video that may or may not be an issue, I'm probably going to take down the bare metal on a couple areas just to find out. Some of the E-coat is put over the top of rust. I want to say these doors are that, or do have that issue, which is why I ended up coating this. I don't remember if this rusted because I did some body work up here, or if it ended up just coming through the E-coat. But I'll probably strip the outside of the doors down to bare metal. The insides, more than likely just scuff. They'd have to be wire wheeled. You couldn't sand them because of this textured. But these quarters, I think might be okay. They're E-coat, scuffed, and then epoxied over. So I'd have to go through 2 layers if I sand them down to bare metal. I'd like to avoid doing that if all possible. I went ahead and coated these with the bumper guards. I don't remember what these are called. Bumper guards, I think. These were originally chrome. Sandblasted them, painted them black. Same thing with these taillight bezels. I actually had to order a set of these because they don't sell the frickin' studs. I could find nowhere that sells the studs for these, and my studs were all rusted up. I planned on painting these black, so it didn't matter that they looked kind of rough. I just sandblasted them and coated them. But you have to order these to get the studs. So I'll have a new set of bezels, so if I don't like the black on it later on, I can swap them out. But right now, the car is going to be completely what they call murdered out, which is just all black. Windows are going to be tinted. Everything's going to be black except for the wheels, so there's that. I wouldn't mind having that gunmetal color accent on things. I actually thought about doing the trim pieces all around the windows and those taillight bezels and whatnot, that color. But I'd have to find that gunmetal paint to do so. Whatever color this is, I guess it's just gunmetal. I don't know. Probably a million different type or shades of gunmetal. Who knows? But I didn't feel like fighting to paint match and whatnot. So anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm doing intake pipe. Still got to do the cold side, like I said. I got to scuff this side completely still. Still got to scuff the roof. I got to finish the tail panel. And it looks like this week coming up is good weather. So I will hopefully be getting ready to spray. I'll have to pull these fenders back off once I finish the intercooler piping and get it all fixed up. This valance will come off. The rear valance is right there by the air tools, by the welders. The bumpers, the valances, the grill, and any other parts that I can find that need to be stripped still, I'm going to take to a local sandblaster and have them strip them for me, because they'll do it a whole lot faster than me sitting out with a grinder. They quoted me about $100 to strip all those parts down, and I'll epoxy those whenever I epoxy the car. So I'll probably bring that stuff to them this week sometime. And yeah, that's it. I'm out of money for the time being. I did sell the rotisserie. That money went into this intercooler, and oh yeah, my pretties that I got in. These suckers are expensive as hell, but it gives me a way to lock my hood now. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but these guys, it makes some pretty cool little devices. That makes some cool stuff. So these are lockable hood pins, and they're all billet aluminum and stainless, Cerakoted black. It takes a cylinder key to lock it. This is in its open state where it's recessed like that. When you feed the pin into it, it'll push that button up, and the little ball bearings in there will lock. But since I don't have a hood latch, I needed hood pins, and well, a bunch of stuff on the car's billet, and I wanted some way to lock it, so I figured why not something like this. Saw a lot of good reviews on them, a lot of people like them, so I figured I'd give them a go. The downside is they're stupid expensive. You pay extra for the lock, like $100 more for the locking mechanism. You pay about $100 more for the bigger ones. These are the bigger ones. The smaller ones are about probably the bottom up to my thumb. and these are rated at holding 700 pounds of force per pin. So I might, if I went fiberglass or carbon fiber hood, I'd have to get foot pins anyways because the latches don't work on those, on most of them. So once I figure out my hood scoop stuff, those are going to be getting installed. And I haven't decided where I'm going to mount them yet. I kind of want to look at a couple of cars to see if I want to put them here or keep these bumpers and mount the pins like up here on the core support. I don't know. This is probably more solid putting them here than on the core support. Core support's a little bit flimsy-ish. It's just this little tab of metal that it would be, whereas this is squared off, has essentially a gusset going down, so it's quite strong. But yeah, so that's it. I made this video way too long already. People are bored. If you stuck around for this, thanks for watching. And maybe next time I'll have the turbo actually hooked up and I can crank this thing, and I don't know if it'll build boost, but I can at least have boost to the motor. But alright, thanks guys. Adios.